Hello everyone, Mark here, and today we are doing the sixth and last entry in the 6 Principles of Training series, covering the 6 Principles of Training by Kondo Katsuyuki Sensei. The text and excerpt that we will be covering today come from the book right behind me, Daito-ryu Aiki Jujutsu Hiden Mokuroku Ikkajo. The book itself was initially published by Aiki News. Unfortunately, I believe it is out of print right now. I will add a link in the description to this video to kodio.com where you can find a free copy of the excerpt that we will be reading today. Today we are covering Zanshin, remaining mind, and full effort. As always, we will be doing a first reading of the text at hand, after which we will be rewinding to the beginning and do a sentence-by-sentence breakdown and add additional comments to contextualize and expand on the meaning of each of those sentences. So without further ado, let's get started. Zanshing, remaining mind and full effort. The characters for Zanshin have the general meaning of remain, zan, and mind, shin. The term is usually interpreted as referring to a mental state in which you continue to focus your attention on your opponent and the surrounding environment. I have another interpretation, however, which is that the character for Zanshin can also refer to the phrase kokoro o nokosazu, literally leave nothing of the spirit behind. This means giving of yourself so completely that nothing remains to be given, and so that nothing is held back. When practicing Daito-ryu, this means giving your absolute all to the performance of each and every technique. So that's the text we will be reviewing today. Let's rewind back to the beginning and try to see what we can find and expand upon for each one of those sentences. The characters for Zanshin have the general meaning of remain, zan, and mind, shin. Pretty straightforward. Now, when we're talking about kanji and their meaning, obviously their meaning is going to change a little bit when taken individually and in different contexts. But here it's a pretty reasonable interpretation of what the characters are supposed to mean as part of the word that it composes. The term is usually interpreted as referring to a mental state in which you continue to focus your attention on your opponent and the surrounding environment. So, surrounding environment is actually one thing that often I feel is kind of forgotten. As part of Daito practice, not only will you need during the execution of a kata to remain focused on the partner with whom you're executing the kata, but you will also have to pay attention to certain things regarding the environment, regardless of where you're practicing, to make sure that you execute things the proper way. Now, many of those elements are that you need to continuously pay attention to are more about etiquette, but to be able to continuously pay attention and keep and remain mindful of those points of etiquette, even though you are in the midst of doing something else, is meant to basically reinforce that idea of continuously paying attention as much to the opponent as to the environment. Now, practically speaking, one of the reasons why you actually want to include those types of practices as part of a martial practice is to dampen or essentially combat the effect of things like peripheral vision, auditory exclusion, the kind of things that basically make it so that you hear, see, and just overall perceive less of the environment at any given point in time, right? So those are the important points that are being referred to here essentially. Continuing, I have another interpretation, however, which is that the characters for Zanshin can also refer to the phrase kokoro o nokosazu. So I'll put the sentence here, meaning literally, leave nothing of the spirit behind. Yeah, kokoro o nokosazu is, leave nothing of the spirit behind. Basically kind of subsume in the practice, I guess could be also one way you could phrase it in English. Basically forget about anything else that might be happening, focus on, whatever situation is currently occurring, and basically, spend yourself out in regards to the focus that you're giving to that situation. We're going to get back to that a bit later in a moment, as to the differences between how that would play out in practice versus in a concrete real life situation. But that's what that's basically the interpretation I make of it when reading it. Continuing. This means giving of yourself so completely that nothing remains to be given, and so that nothing is held back. Now, here we're talking about practice, and the following sentence actually, I think, makes this a little bit clearer. When practicing Daito-ryu, this means giving your absolute all to the performance of each and every technique. So, that's basically kind of train hard, fight easy, right? If you are used to basically be spent tired, and you are used to executing, kata and physical operations basically under a certain physical strain, and if you're on top of that also capable of keeping a relatively clear mind and a heightened level of perception, even though you might actually be tired, spent, and whatnot, then obviously when it comes down to a real life situation, even if you're having a bad day, chances are you're going to be able to adequately respond to whatever bad situation actually might be coming your way. So here, the idea is when we're talking about the second interpretation being made here of Zanshin, maximum effort, full effort, we're really talking about a training environment. With that said, there's also the idea of kind of knowing your own limits through that, right? And the closer you get to the limit on a regular basis, the less you're going to feel a limitation in a real life situation, because you're going to be basically challenging yourself on a regular basis and crossing thresholds where you thought that your personal limit was, and then you keep going across the line and across the line and across the line. At some point you realize that, well, your limitations don't really matter, and in real life, that's not going to be something that's going to stop you from getting the job done at whatever it is that you're actually hoping to achieve. So that's it for today. This is the last entry to the Six Principles of Training series. I'll add a summary video at the end of the series in the upcoming weeks to basically kind of take an aggregate view of what we've covered and discuss additional points. In the meantime, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Thank you for your time, and until next time.